Hey, how's it going? My name is Cam and I am a visual designer. And also now, I am a font designer. Today I'm going to talk about my new font named Agoro. We're going to break down several different things in this video. The first being the inception of the idea, where it came from. Secondly, we're going to talk about the inspiration behind the naming and all the details, how we got from point A to the end of the whole font itself. Third, we're going to talk about the characteristics of the font and what you can expect when you actually get your hands on it. Lastly, we're going to take a look at the finer details of the font itself, some things that I've sort of added in and a lot of stuff that I was happy to include with the font set. So let us start here. So first we have the font itself, named Agoro. Now, the inception of the idea came from, well, start off kind of long. So first, my sister, she went to Ghana and she brought back with her a couple shirts. One of the shirts being, it had the Adinkra symbols on it. It had like a cool grid of all of them. So what's funny though, years prior I had done for a woman's wedding, she wanted like the duafe on her, I think it was for the bridesmaid shirts or something like that. So I actually set that up for her. Then fast forward like probably 10 years later, I interfaced with it again. It's not something I interface with a lot. And then most recently, I had a client that is actually, they're from Ghana, and during our research project for the logo we made for them, we kind of did some research and referenced that a lot for the inspiration for the logo as well. Now, Agoro actually comes from the tree word from Ghana language, and it means play, which actually ties into the logo work that I did for my client. Also, with the naming, I wanted something that wasn't too familiar. I mean, normally you'll run across Agora, which is like I believe a Greek name. And there's things about Agoro too, like oro, I believe it might be Spanish or Latin for gold, like in Dorito, for example. It's like a small piece of gold. And so there's a lot of things with that kind of went into the naming and really tied in really well. Now, the other thing we're going to take a look at is the other inspiration. So, like I said, this logo was created from my project for my client. I made a logo for them, and from 5 letters, I then derived and made the font from. So, with those letters, and you can see here with the characteristics here of this font, they have rounded edges here, and it's very bold. It's a little condensed here, you can see, but that's going to look a little bit different as we take a look at the finer details of the characteristics of the font. So then we dive in a little bit further. So I'm going to show you here what the font looks like with actually all of its primary letters here. You can see here there's no sort of counter space here, like you can see here in the P. It's kind of just filled in. And coming back to more of the inspirations, there was when we were doing research for the logo I designed, there was this thought about like very graphic communication and very sort of rigorous design philosophy around the way the letters looked. A lot of this is based on the research done and harkening back to, say, like a cuneiform, which I learned about in college actually. The old, I believe it's Mesopotamian writing, correct me if I'm wrong. And also things like earlier Chinese, which was derived from, like, they did a more pictographic language early on, and then that went into the more script-based Chinese that we know of now. That's kind of where it started from. The idea for this also is that with there being no sort of negative space in the letters that's enclosed, like the O, the P, the R, all that stuff is closed in, even the D. It comes back to how we read language. We read in shapes. And so when you're looking at a word, you don't pick out each individual letter. Often, because of how we read now, you have to kind of like look at the thing and quickly understand what it's trying to tell you. So over time, we've evolved to sort of read shapes. Now, I'm not like a crazy historian or scientist when it comes to those things, but everything that I know about design and graphic communication gives credence to that sort of idea. And I want to implement that with the font here. Now, we're going to dive in more to the characteristics of the font. So you can see all the letters here, and one being all caps, and two, there's different widths here. So my idea for the font to make it a little bit more unique, and something I leaned into, was the fact that when you shift and make a capital letter, like Shift T, Shift P, the actual letter gets wider. And with that, this font is really made for display. It's not made for like a paragraph text or small, tiny reading or anything like that. It's really made for like posters, things like signage, again, large display items, even like a large menu at a bar or something. And with that characteristic, it leads to interesting personality and rhythm to the font, almost like jazz, if you will. And so when you can combine and mix these letters, and I'll show you an example in a little bit about how to do that and how that really creates a little bit more identity, especially when it comes to pronunciation of a word. You think about when you're creating a brand, you can use letters and sort of spacing and different things within this type of font actually to emphasize certain things or naming within words of your brand, for example. Yeah, the Quick Nymph Bugs Vex Fjord Waltz. Now the spacing here may seem a little off if you take a look, but there's actually kerning pairs in the font actually. And I think I like this actually. So you can see here, things look a little off. That's just because I haven't updated this actually for what you're saying. And this is actually kerned in a little bit farther, as the last thing that I did do with the font is set up the kerning pairs. So let's dive a little bit deeper here. So let's go and take a look. Again, there's no enclosed negative space. You can see that further with some of the other letters. And I think that is the majority of the ones that I had. And then if you take a look here, you can see what I was talking about when it comes back to that rhythm and how you can use different letters to sort of give that rhythm again in the words that you use. So this is the word quantize here. This has, let's see, it looks like a capital Z here to really emphasize that part of the word. And then I chose the word jalapeno. Now, if you take a look here, this has, like, for the first one example here at the top, you can see that it has all the lowercase letters that were more condensed, except for the N, and it really emphasizes the not the N, but the Inye is what it's called actually, in the word itself. And then if you go below, I set up and I had 5 capital letters. Here's the J-A-L-A, and then a capital Inye, which is wider. And so again, it's giving that type of rhythm. It's kind of funky, and I really enjoyed that aspect of putting those different sort of features with a font that you can explore when you get your hands on it. Now next, we're going to take a look at some of these special characters. So this here, I have typed out a niçoise salad. Now you see the soft C here, and there are actually tons of glyphs that are included and special characters for other language support. Actually, the amount of characters, I think, is like over 590, if I'm remembering correctly. And also you can see here support for things like Nordic languages. You have a bit of a riff on the different stylings here. You do have I believe it's the diaresis or the umlauts over the O for the vowel shift there. And you also have the O slash, which is what that is there. A little bit different. Normally it's, again, with there being no negative enclosed space, the O slash looks a little bit different. It's a way more stylized, and it gives it a little bit more of like a poster punk kind of feel. Also, too, to note about the corners being rounded in the edges is that it reminds me of, as in college, I also learned about typesetting. And when the old books were created on like a Gutenberg press, they would either carve out the typography, or they would have like the type molded so that they could place the type and print the books in like mass production. But over time, the edges of that font, depending on how it was designed, would wear out. And so that was something with the rounded edges, it kind of has a bit more wisdom, if you will, or it's been through something. And that's something I really enjoyed about including in here as a sort of nod to that idea, but also it's leaning into something a bit more cultured in that aspect, and a little bit more funky and for lack of better words, like ethnic, if you will. That's the best way I can describe it there. So next we want to take a look at something else that I had here. Now, I did want to show you that I did include some of those adinkra symbols in the font itself. You can find those in the glyphs. There's actually shortcuts depending on your software, where you can choose the first letter of the name of the adinkra symbol, and then it'll give you that option as like an alternate version of the letter, for example, and then that'll pop up. And so that's something really special that I included in a nod to the research, and obviously to the name as well, and also to some of the culture that I was able to experience working with the client and getting this experience with my sister, giving me this shirt, and all these years, these kind of things that kind of crept into the work that I was doing and things that I did with clients to, make something really special. And this was really awesome. And this is actually funny because this is, again, the Duafe was the first symbol that I ever interacted with, really, that I remember. And so I was happy to include 7 of my favorites, but then 7 of them that would actually also work with the rigorous rule set of this font. Another thing I'm going to highlight here is coming back to the rule set of the font itself and why I built it the way I did. So coming back to these other letters here, I'm going to turn on this grid here so you can see these rules. And these lines here, you can see the proportions a little bit more clearly here, where the center line is here, but then also where the lower crossbars and how everything kind of lines up. Another very specific thing that was a bit challenging to design around, but also something I wanted to include, again, coming back to the language of the font itself and some of the rhythm that it has with it. And that was the horizontal, or I should say the diagonal lines in the font itself. All the diagonal lines in the font are at a specific angle, so then that they could line up against one another. So I'm going to go down to a bottom part of this page here so you can see. So you can see here with the A, you have the A, the Y, and the triple O. Ayo! And you can see here that all these angles line up at the same angle, or they're parallel at the same angle, I should say. So there's this beautiful harmony with this that exists, again, giving credence to some of that rhythm as you write different words. They sort of, again, have more personality when you see them. Especially if you're making like a very typographic poster, you can see how that starts to play out with how people will read the words that you've typed out and designed, and how you can kind of play and stack. And now I don't have any examples of further play with this font itself, but you're more than welcome to, and I'd love to see what you guys do with the font itself when you get your hands on it. Different things, like even here you see the 69 here, and they're just inverted numbers of each other. So again, they have that kind of harmony and dynamic and create this interesting shape here. And that was pretty much it for the font itself. Now there's way more things to explore here. So please, when you get your hands on it, let me know what you think. If you have any feedback, we'll see. I might have some plans in the future to build out the font further with more special character and language support. So hopefully we can do that in the future as well. But right now it's at a really good spot where you can see how useful a tool this can be, the multiple language support with the special glyphs and characters. Hopefully you can find those very useful and enjoy playing with the font itself. I want to thank you so much for taking a look at this video. If it's your first time taking a look at my channel, please like the video if you like what you see here, and also subscribe. That would be great, as I'm trying to grow my channel. Thank you so much again. You can actually, on the description of this video, find a link to my website. That's going to be camthevisionary.com. You can find the font there and purchase it as well. Again, thank you so much for taking a look at this video. I appreciate you taking the time, and peace. I'll see you soon.